So my Super Bowl prediction for this year, the team I think that's going to win it all are the Green Bay Packers, man. Jordan Love, I see him as the next great Green Bay Packers quarterback. They went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and now they go from Rodgers to Jordan Love. His sample size was really small last year, but you love what you saw the second half of the 2023 NFL season out of Jordan Love. This dude had a 20-3 touchdown interception ratio. He balled out against the Kansas City Chiefs. He balled out Thanksgiving Day against the Detroit Lions. And then he goes into the postseason absolutely scorching. He sent the Dallas Cowboys packing, pretty much sent all of Cowboys Nation into hibernation with how quiet they've been ever since that loss to the Packers. And then he had a really good game against the 49ers up until the closing minutes of it when he pretty much imploded. Jordan Love is the truth. Right now, to me, he's a top 6, top 7 quarterback in the game, and he definitely is on my top 3 list of candidates to end up winning MVP. And with what the Packers have around Jordan Love, an elite offensive line that has a good amount of depth, you got a really deep wide receiver room. They don't have any wideout currently that is elite, but they have a lot of solid guys who not only are really productive, but they got guys on the bench who could probably be a high-end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 on the majority of NFL teams out there. But what has me so sold on Green Bay winning it all this year is how improved this defense is going to be. For the last 3 years, the Packers have had one of the league's most disappointing defenses because of how bad Joe Barry has been as a defensive coordinator. Like, if you think about the most talented defenses right now, the Green Bay Packers definitely are up there. They got great cornerbacks, Eric Stokes, Jair Alexander. You got a really underrated defensive line, man. I mean, Rashawn Gary is one of the better pass rushers in the league, and he doesn't get enough credit. Sometimes injuries kind of hold him back, but when he's fully healthy, I think he's good enough to win Defensive Player of the Year. You got Preston, you got Smith. Well, you don't got the Smith brothers anymore, but you got a lot of talent on the defensive line. You got a really good group of linebackers. The thing that has held back Green Bay's defense from being an elite unit has been how bad their defensive coordinator was. With you hiring Jeff Hafley, who was the head coach of Boston College, this is going to be a vastly improved defensive unit. And if your defense would have at least just been average last year, you could have been finding yourself playing in Super Bowl 58 last season. We know that this offense is not going to skip a beat this year. I'm not concerned about 2023 being false gold for Jordan Love. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And when you have a quarterback that's fairly inexperienced like what Jordan Love was last year, of course, it's fair to expect him to have a roller coaster of a ride his first season starting. His first 2 games were really good, and then he had a 2-month stretch where he just looked terrible. And then around Thanksgiving, that's when things started to click. And Thanksgiving is when the good teams start to separate themselves from the average teams. That's when you start to find out who the true contenders are versus who are the false contenders out there who are pretenders, because Thanksgiving is when the real NFL season starts, and that's when you want your franchise quarterback to be playing his best football, and that's what Jordan Love did. So that's why I'm not too concerned about Jordan Love's new extension. Did the Packers pay him too much too early when he has such a small sample size? When you go 20-3 your last couple of games, like what you did last year, you send the Cowboys packing. You did the NFL and all of us who watch this thing a favor by shutting up the Dallas Cowboys, man. We know how much we hate hearing this fan base talk. They are the most delusional fan base in the league. And Jordan Love shut these boys up. They haven't said a peep ever since that disappointing loss they suffered to Green Bay. And with how well he played against the 49ers, I mean, how can you not be confident if you're a Packers fan and what you're going to have out of Jordan Love going into this year, man? He could go off. He could have 40, maybe 50 touchdowns this year. He was on an absolute tear to end last season. So I'm really high on Jordan Love. He's a large reason why I'm sold on the Packers being able to win the Super Bowl this year. I got them beating the Houston Texans in the biggest game of the year, man. That's how much I believe in Jordan Love and what the Packers are going to have on defense. They got one of the more talented teams in the NFC. Okay, they got a really young group of wide receivers that are really promising, and you couple that with a really good offensive line. It's really hard to see Jordan Love having a slump this year. Plus, with an improved defense, that's also going to help bail him out when he does have those games when he ends up being a little bit more turnover prone than what you would like. The Cowboys, man, I was so happy they got sent home by Green Bay. Once Jordan Love had the performance that he did against Green Bay with that Dan Quinn coach defense, that's all I needed to see to sell me on him being the next great thing in Lambeau, because he definitely is going to end up playing at a high level this year. And when he does, expect for the Packers to win it all this year. He's going to be the one dude who could stop the Kansas City Chiefs from being able to three-peat this year, although I don't think they're going to end up facing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I have them beating the Houston Texans 31-27 in the Super Bowl. But it's a great time to be a Green Bay Packers fan if you are one, man, because it's been a while since I've had this much optimism about the Packers since the Aaron Rodgers days. And I mean the early 2010s era of the Green Bay Packers when they went 15-1 and they got upset by the New York Giants in the divisional round of the playoffs one year. Jordan Love is going to lead the Green Bay Packers back to the Lombardi Trophy, and they're going to bring the title back home to Title Town this year. So I'm picking Green Bay to be the team that ends up winning it all this season. I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me, but you are heavily underestimating how improved this defense is going to be. And with the top 15 defense potentially, Green Bay is going to be a really tough outing for any team they play this year, and you definitely don't want to see this team in the postseason.